Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It is Thursday. It's time to talk some NFL action. Got a game tonight, but more importantly, we are going to set you up for this Week 15 full NFL card. Thursday night football, Kyle. Saturday football doubleheader. Sunday, Monday. Now it's time to gear up for playoff action right here at sportsbookreview.com. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com, and it's time to sharpen those pencils, Kyle.
It sure is. And how about this? 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting here on the injured list, questionable return, and our man Donnie, not just, it's easy to be me. I just sit here, fill in, say some stupid crap, we rock and roll. Donnie leading the show on the injured list. So show him some love in the chat box. Hit that like button.
Gatorade.
Gatorade or Faderade. We won't accuse him of anything in here. And, we appreciate all of you in the chat box already here waiting and watching and commenting. And, hey, Week 15 is going to be tough. We were talking about off the air. It's a tough week for team totals. It's a tough week for sides. A lot of injuries. We've got some COVID stuff going on, which we, have come to expect. So it's going to be an interesting week. Excited for this week. Saturday football is always – I love Saturday football leading into Wild Card Weekend. It's one of my favorite things of the NFL season. So excited to be here, and kudos to you for hanging in there and not letting me run the ship into the ground by myself,
Yeah, hey, could have had 3 strikes on the channel all in 1 hour. Would have been
That's
fun
right.
to watch, but it is what it is. We will fight on, and yes, I will be drinking plenty of Gatorade Zero right here, keeping myself hydrated throughout the show. But I tell you who else is really riding with us, Kyle. That's the good people out here that come into the chat box each and every day and support us here at sportsbookreview.com. That is the 76,800 people have hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for doing that. Click that notification bell. Every time we talk some NFL action, you will get it live delivered to your inbox so you can come in and say hello. Randy, Eric, JWMOKC1. How about that? Sean, Randy, welcome in. We're going to have a nice show here over the next hour. Setting the table as usual. Kelsey will join us a little bit later to go over some pick six picks, which I continually go 3-3. So I'm anticipating another 3-3 week in our pick six contest. But let's get to it, because usually, Kyle, we can mess around, have some fun, and do some side things. When you have a full card and no buys, that time is shortened. So we got to get after it. But also, if you miss anything, if you come in late, if you're watching a replay and say, boy, I wish I could see a write-up on tonight's game, click that link below right there, sbrpicks.com/NFL for all your needs to make yourself a better NFL handicapper. We like to talk Thursday night football. We like the fact that there is a game tonight. But I have to tell you, going over and doing this with a fine-tooth comb, it's such an oddball game to be played on a Thursday. You take a look and you see the Raiders really need this game, Kyle, to sort of progress forward and see if they can make the playoffs. Their last 3 out of 4 games, they have been absolutely abysmal. So now we're anticipating them just to flip the switch and win a game, when finally the Chargers got off the schneid last week and said, hey, for once, we didn't blow the game at the end of it. Atlanta did. So now I see the 3.5 and I say, I don't particularly like a side in this game. If I have to pick one, it would be the Raiders, because they need to win. I think I'm getting the better quarterback overall in Derek Carr. But outside of that, seeing so many injuries in this game, my eyes just get peeled to that under, because I don't care if the Raiders have 4 guys down on their defense. They're already a bad defense. How much worse can the secondary players that are going to come in be? The question is, if I'm going to get Keenan Allen, who nobody can cover, maybe as just a decoy tonight, Mike Williams, the wide receiver, great red zone target, nice little B option on that team. He's going to be out, so maybe you can focus your other defensive efforts, so-called, for the Raiders on other people. And then you flip it over again to the Raiders on offense. No Henry Ruggs to stretch that defense. Both the defenses aren't very good, but 51.5 with injuries and a third. This isn't a full week where they get to rest, relax, and get after this game plan. I just see some sloppy football. I'm going under 51.
Yeah, I think that's the only side you can really do with confidence. Now, should the Raiders win this game, of course, the Chargers, Keenan Allen, if he plays, it's a hamstring issue. We talk about this all the time on the show, right?
Yeah.
Wide receivers, hamstring issues. And we've seen Keenan Allen go out there and try to gut out through an injury before, and he scored a touchdown and then left the game. A couple catches, 20-some yards, boom, out for the game. I don't think you see a lot out of Keenan Allen. Obviously, Mike Williams, most likely not going to play. He suffered that back issue, one series into that, to the last game this weekend against Atlanta. Then you've got all the injuries to the Raiders defense. It's 2 bad defenses. You want to smash the over, but it's just really hard to do that when you see all the explosive players out. So I think right now, just early leaning at this game, I got to take the under in this contest as the Jets fly over to confirm.
No, and I tend to agree because we're trying to get over. And again, once we hit the show again for a second, once over later when Kelsey joins us, we'll go over some picks and props along with that. So some other options that we can look at. But just taking a look, very rarely do you get outside of weather conditions or major injuries like a quarterback going down. Does a number, Kyle, open up at 55 and now sit at 51.5 across the board? We saw Pinnacle Offshore open at SBRodds.com at -3 as a favorite for the Las Vegas Raiders, now up to 3.5. And it's a tough one because we've had some pretty easy looks at some Thursday night games. Whether they win or lose, you have some conviction on these games. I could see it literally both ways, where Herbert has plenty of time to pass and the Raiders secondary is damaged and he has a nice day, 280-plus yards passing. But I can also see the flip side saying, hey, give me that Las Vegas Raiders offensive line. Give me a couple good running backs. Let Derek Carr throw it around. And this team needs to win when the Chargers probably celebrated they finally won last week. There's not a lot to love in this game. So again, Raiders for me, which I don't like as much, and you know me, when I'm taking unders, that means I can't stand the game because I can't find a pathway to even a team total over. So I'm going to stick with the under 51 in this ball game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And for you fantasy players out there, if you're looking for some fillers, I know Jalen Guyton seems like the popular choice, right? He's been the number 3 receiver, I guess, out there all year, played about 78% of the snaps. But you kind of saw last week when Mike Williams went down, they went to Tyron Johnson. So he might be something interesting to look at. He's like 5,000 on DraftKings. You might even see some Joe Reed for the Chargers. Go ahead. Yeah, look for some tape on that. Looks like Austin Eckler is going to be fine with that quad injury. So he'll be good to go tonight. Justin Jackson could be interesting. A lot of like tertiary pieces for these teams tonight. And you mentioned no Henry Ruggs, so that explosive downfield sort of situation where he was starting to really come into his own and they were looking downfield to him. Of course, that big game-winning catch against the Jets. These are two teams who are not flying high. If the Raiders didn't have all these injuries on defense, who you're absolutely right, weren't very good. Either way, I'd feel pretty confident going to the Raiders. They should win this game. They are still alive in the playoff hunt. The Chargers obviously have nothing left to play for. And, of course, when you look at the head coaches, who can do more with less, Anthony Lynn or John Gruden? I think you would overwhelmingly say John Gruden. Anthony Lynn has just been an absolute disaster of a head coach, especially with his game management and decision-making. So if I'm picking a side, since we like to do that here, of course, I'm not doing that for this game with my own money, but I would say the Raiders simply because without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and even a sort of banged-up Austin Eckler, what do you really – and no Brian Bulaga as well on the offensive line. Like, what do you think you're going to get out of the Chargers tonight? Could be a long night for Herbert. I lean the Raiders, and I'm with you. With the three most explosive in terms of speed and big plays, I know Darren Waller's terrific, Eckler, et cetera. Three most explosive wide receivers out of this game, it's hard not to take the under.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on Las Vegas. And again, we'll hit this game before we get back off the air in about an hour now. But let's get to some of the Saturday showcase games. Yeah. And I like this it's never bad talking NFL football, Kyle. When you have a full slate, it's always fun to look at. But until we get way down that list on Sunday, there's not much to really get excited for. But this is a week for sides that I think some of these games you can use paint by numbers and just say, hey, this just makes sense, and I'm going to go with it. And both of these games on Saturday seem that way. We're looking at Carolina, who I like Matt Rule, comes out this week and says, hey, look, man, we're trying to win football games here. This isn't we're going to try people out for next year and see how a young cornerback plays when I know the guy ahead of him might be better, or let me get a look at this young defensive tackle instead of putting a starter that legitimately has earned his time out here. So that says something for always putting up a fight. But when we talk 343, 344, Carolina and Green Bay, it's clear one team's headed in one direction. The other one is saying, you know what, Christian McCaffrey, if we were in the playoff run, he probably plays this week. Now, you know what, sit this one out over here. A lot of issues also at wide receiver, who's injured, some COVID, close contacts for Carolina. So not a lot in their direction. And also some of those Southern boys used to playing in Carolina, 65, 70 degrees, now going up to Green Bay, Kyle, playing at 29 degrees. Now, the good part about it is no precipitation, and it looks like it's going to be really light winds, 3 to 4 miles an hour, but still in the 20s. You see the line open up in that 9 range. Now it sits at 8.5 across the board. FanDuel showing a 7.5, but I think that might be a little bit delayed. Over under opened up at 51. Does go to 52 because to me it does look like an over game because you're going to have Teddy Bridgewater being able to maneuver around the pocket as long as he has a semblance of a wide receiving core. They should be able to move it against Green Bay and vice versa. I mean, Carolina's defense is awful. You saw last week even Drew Lock sliced that team up and down the field. They should be able to put up points. It's just a matter of how much Carolina can counterbalance that, because when I'm looking at a football game, this is the time of the year, which we don't use even like 2 weeks ago. One team's going to the playoffs and trying to get a top seed. The other one's saying, like, let's put up a good effort here, see what's what. I can't go with those football teams. So this is another one of those games, Kyle, where I say, you know what? If I know Green Bay's MO is maybe to give it up in the second half and, not be able to close the door, because they technically probably have to win by double digits in order for you to get this W, give me the first half in this game, -4.5 to -5.5. Green Bay is going to be up a touchdown at the half. They're the playoff team. They're at home. Aaron Rodgers will get it done. Don't care what happens in the second half here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First half, love Green Bay. Carolina, I'm glad you mentioned their defense, because you remember early on that secondary was playing well. That sort of zone-heavy scheme that they play was really working. It's not working anymore, and now they're sort of doing musical chairs with their perimeter corners, taking Douglas and Jackson out, throwing the young kid Pride in there. They've just been absolutely dreadful over the last several weeks. Basically, the last 8 weeks, they're one of the worst, if not the worst, secondary in the league, and they haven't really been killed by injuries. I know Douglas was out a little bit. But again, they do have a competent offense. We've seen Green Bay struggle to cover even against lesser teams. So even though I love the first half for Green Bay, if I'm taking a full game, I would probably take Carolina to cover. Look, if Green Bay's not going to cover at home against Jacksonville, I can't trust them to cover at home against Carolina. And I'm not big on Green Bay. I know they're the 1 seed right now. Matt LaFleur does some of the dumbest crap I've ever seen a coach do. It drives me wild. You will see more Jamal Williams here than we should ever see in any football game ever. Now, maybe they're just trying to hold off Aaron Jones and keep him, fresh for the postseason. I do think Carolina has a great shot at covering the full game. You're absolutely right. What kind of effort are we going to get out of him? I think we see a decent effort. Curtis Samuel popped up on the injury report. I believe DJ Moore will be back from the COVID list. That defense has been bad. Devontae Adams should have a huge game. This little 2-game DFS slate, that's going to be a lot of fun. I think you can take advantage of Devontae Adams, of course. There's going to be very popular. But I like the first half call, and I do think it's the over. I don't think Green Bay's defense is very good. And Carolina, even with Mike Davis, they should be able to run the ball. Green Bay can't stop the run. And Green Bay should have absolutely no trouble scoring on Carolina. So the over would be my favorite pick in this game. I love that first half call by Green Bay. If I'm going overall game, I'll probably take Carolina to cover. Just look, they're up 13, 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It just takes one, prevent defense type play, and your back door is jammed, if you will. There's jokes for that. So take Carolina full game. Love Green Bay first half. And Green Bay to win. It's an okay money line parlay piece if you want to do that for the whole weekend and add a few cents to your juice there.
Yeah, I think they take care of business. Keep in mind also, we are going in rotation. That's actually the 8:15 game on Saturday night. The earlier game is the Denver game. Just take a look at the chat box here. Mark Rock, holy snowstorm, 32 inches, finally got done now. So some of these guys up here, I don't know if Mark is up in that Binghamton area that got over 3 feet. So they might be up in that little snow belt up in New York. We got about 3 to 6 inches here outside of Philadelphia, but, some of those guys really got pounded. But again, not going to impact any of the games. And he's right. Got some football to watch tonight. So hunker down. Just don't hurt yourself shoveling all that snow out there. Heart attacks, bad backs, all registers in. Getting a look at some other things here also is Panthers making upsets as Harold Bonaventura. I don't know if I go that far, but look, that's a competent football team with a really good coach with Matt Rule. We'll see what takes place. Why don't we hit that secondary game, which is actually the first game on Saturday, 345, 346, Buffalo and Denver. And I see in the chat box now also, bad spot for Buffalo. These guys are playing electric football and honing into the playoffs. Maybe the Buffalo Bills, when they upset New England, if they have ever done that in the last 20 years, and they're like a 5-win team and they just partied all week. But you're looking at a team that's really grinding that sword on the way to the playoffs and going up against a Denver team where sometimes you get a really good effort out of Denver. Sometimes it's just, oh my goodness, what is Denver actually doing? Now, to say one thing here is Denver's going to lose one of the top 3 kickers in the NFL, and that hurts. Similar like Justin Tucker when you have them for Baltimore. In Denver, when you cross the 50, you got 3 points because he absolutely can belt it anywhere inside of 60 yards with ease. Not bad weather conditions on Saturday either. You're going to get Garrett Bowles back at left tackle, which is nice. We're going to see if we get some other guys healthy on the offensive line as well. You still have some decent wide receivers that you can work with. But the key issue here, it's not us saying to me, Kyle, What am I getting out of Drew Lock? Can he be competent? Can he put up points? Just saw him last week go against a bad, Carolina defense and swashbuckle him. He can do that to a lot of defenses with his talent and with some weapons and some time to throw. My issue is the opposite side of the football here. I like Denver's front seven. Athletic, fast, get after you, sack you. But the problem is we're not being Denver's defense of 3 weeks ago. We had 2 legitimate Pro Bowl caliber cornerbacks. You're down 3 cornerbacks, and you're down a safety, not a starter, but just another depth guy in the secondary as well. We've seen Josh Allen take that next step. They are going to go bombs away on that secondary. And the good part about having an elite pass rush or an upper echelon pass rush like Denver has is you have a quarterback that can get out of the way of that. You saw it last week with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense, to me, much, much better overall than Denver's. And they just put on the gas pedal early in the second half, coasted to a victory. I think they do whatever they want. And unless, again, you're saying it's a tough spot, and I'm looking at Denver's not getting 14 here where they can hang around. Denver's got to be in this football game without their kicker and without their secondary. Buffalo, for me, gets it done by a touchdown. I'm not scared of this game.
Yeah, and now I will preface this. We talked about this. Denver is an enigma of a football team, and the last time I bagged super hard on Denver, they went out and beat the New England Patriots early in the year when it seemed like the Patriots were progressing. So there's a little fear here. But no, I don't understand all the Denver love. They're not just down their top 3 corners. They're down 4 of their top 5 with Duke Dawson also going down. So who is going to cover Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, even Gabriel Davis? It's not going to happen. Josh Allen, sure, bring the pass rush. Josh Allen will run all over him. And the other key in this game, Buffalo's defense is finally starting to look like the Buffalo defense of the last couple of years. They're getting healthier. They're moving along. Now you've got Tre'Davious White out there. I do not see a path to victory for the Denver Broncos. I think Buffalo wins this one by a touchdown easily. It's one of my favorite plays of the weekend. I just can't see it. There's no weather issues really keeping this close in Denver. It's going to be, mid-40s and clear. Both Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon questionable on the injury report on Thursday, according to their bold and brash and brave head coach, Vic Fangio. Also, now we're talking about a loser coach as well with in Denver. I just don't see it. And you mentioned McManus. They're not going to have this safety net where, hey, we got a minute left in the half. Maybe we can get down and make this close before the second half, get some momentum. You don't have McManus out here kicking 58-yard field goals up in the Mile High City. No, I like Buffalo in this one. I like it pretty easy. I don't understand the love for Denver. I will preface this again. Last time I bagged on Denver, I looked dumb, and that's what happened. I don't see that happening here. Buffalo's trajecting upwards. They've got stuff to play for here. I like the Buffalo Bills. Denver Broncos should get squashed this week.
Yeah, and the way I'm looking at it, too, because you go, they're going to Denver. But Buffalo's Josh Allen, played in Wyoming, freezing cold temperatures, and also one of the highest elevation campuses in the United States. So, he's not going to be used to it. He's used to it all his entire life, the way he grew up, where he played football in college and also now in the pros, because he plays in Buffalo. Last time I checked, usually cold and windy as well. I just think that Buffalo team from top to bottom, from organization, I'm talking front office to head coaches to players, what you need to do, because last time I checked, Denver's not really in the playoff mix, and Buffalo is one of those hot teams that people are now saying you don't want to face this team in the playoffs, and who knows what happens to Kansas City down the stretch or, Pittsburgh, and they can steadily move up their rankings. I just like the way Buffalo's playing because no longer – see the way we talk about Drew Lock? That was once Josh Allen. Boy, what am I going to get out of him? Oh my God, the wide receiver's open 10 yards down, and he just airmails the ball 70 yards over his head. That's not the case anymore, and they need to win this game. We understand that. It is a short week. Big victory over Pittsburgh, but this isn't the old Buffalo Bills where, woo, big victory, oh my God, and then they get slaughtered the next week because they're partying. That's the way I leave it in. By the way, the over-under 49, I'm still leaning towards the over because I think Buffalo is going to push the issue, which turns Drew Lock into a boomer bust quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what he is. It's real 50-50 because are you going to get Drew Lock that rolls out and chucks it 30 yards over a receiver's head and, they have a miscommunication, it's intercepted. I kind of expect – I actually a friend of mine was asking, should I play Buffalo or Tampa Bay's defense this week in fantasy football? I said Buffalo because – Drew Lock is a mistake prone. Now there's other times man, this kid he looks really, really good. You don't know what version you're going to get. So it's really tough to take a side there. If you get competent Drew Lock, they should go over easily because I think Buffalo gets into the 30s in this game.
And I'm not a teaser guy or a money line parlay either, but if you're looking on Saturday to sit back and watch some football, teaser either on Green Bay and Buffalo, and then or flip it over to a moneyline parlay on both of those teams. Seems pretty good to me, because I would be shocked Saturday night around 11 o'clock, like, damn, Carolina really went up there and took it to Green Bay. Or, boy, Drew Lock was unbelievable, and Buffalo's old Buffalo. I just don't see that at this point with these two teams.
Yeah, I agree. I would actually be more surprised if Denver beat Buffalo than Carolina beating Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay is all that good. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of this world. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Right now, in terms of quarterback play, I think he's probably playing the best in the league. But again, outside of Devontae Adams, if you can just figure out a way to stop Devontae Adams, you can shut down that entire team, and they can't stop the run. They're poorly coached. I'd be much more surprised if Denver beats Buffalo than Carolina beating Green Bay.
Tom Boylan says no snow over here. We got our first snow in my area in over 2 years, when we used to get pelted with snow. It seemed like, in our region, but no more. But hey, nice little snow, nice little cover up. But again, my Philadelphia Eagles are playing in Arizona, so none of that is going to make any difference here. Let's get to the Sunday card here, Kyle. A lot of games at 1 o'clock here. We'll start with 341, 342. Houston and Indianapolis. Deshaun Watson and Phillip Rivers. Line opens up at 7 offshore, sits at 7.5 across the board. Over-under opened up at 52, now sits at 51. Here's what I'm waiting on. It looks like Indianapolis is going to come in, because Costanzo was active last week. It didn't actually get to start. If he's active and starts in this game, we talk about like the Voltron line. Everybody's going to be engaged and ready to rock. Phillip Rivers getting healthier with that toe each and every game. The young running backs are really coming into their own. And T.Y. Hilton has been taken off of the milk carton and put back up into the Hall of Fame of fantasy football, where he belongs, playing extremely well. Where do we like him? At home in a dome, which they will be. No injury report designation here, Kyle, for Deshaun Watson. Could I see a repeat performance of both of these teams going up and down the field? Now, you probably would have hit your over if Deshaun Watson didn't fumble the snap inside the 5-yard line. Mm-hmm. That 50.5 seems interesting to me, only because both of these teams, again, dome. I'm going to be healthy for Houston, and pencil in, once again, mid-20s or higher for Indianapolis, which is going to force Houston to try to chase them down. I still think Indianapolis gets the win and the cover in this game, but sort of looking at that over at that 50.5 as a little bit better price. Both of these teams, to me, as long as Brandon Cooks plays, which it looks like he's on track for, that'll give you an upper echelon wide receiver, so Kiki Kuti doesn't have to cover it, and you get some of these, Chad Hansons of the world that have to get out there and do some business. I think this game can get over the 50.5, but again, one of those paint by numbers. One team excelling, making a playoff push, when the other one is saying, who's my head coach and GM next year?
Yeah, and I went back and rewatched that game from a couple weeks ago. I mean, we got the minus, I believe it was 3.5 in that game in Houston. Pretty similar conditions. I mean, the domes aren't all that much different here. I'm starting to lean that Houston can cover this. I still think the Colts win. I don't know if they beat Houston by double digits. I do think you get a competent effort out of Houston. Looks good. Linebacker for the Colts. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. Their best linebacker. Darius Leonard, thank you very much. Not on the injury report today, so that's good news for the Colts. Looks like he's going to be there and ready to go, making things a little bit difficult for that Houston offense, no doubt. Houston should have David Johnson back for whatever that means. But I do think we've seen some holes in that Colts secondary. Xavier Rhodes left that game a little bit as well. Brandon Cooks should play. So I actually do think Houston can cover here. I think the Colts win. You talked about teasers and money line parlays. I think the Colts are a fine piece for that. They should win this football game. But I think the 7's a little high. I mean, if you're right, if it wasn't for that fumble inside the 5, Houston would have run that game outright a couple of weeks ago. I don't think the conditions here are that much different. I know Watson's a little banged up, but I'm not seeing him anywhere on any injury report in terms of being concerned about him whatsoever. So I think Houston covers here. Colts win. I think that total, they probably go over. You would have hit that over, you're right, if it wasn't for that fumble as well. Both these offenses should be able to move the football. Colts defense not what they were early in the season. Of course, the Houston defense absolutely terrible. And Jonathan Taylor really starting to come into his own as the number one running back there. He started out hot, sort of faded away. Now he's back. Love that running game for the Colts. Of course, Houston struggles against the run. So I'll take Houston to cover. I'll take the over. Colts to win. That's my pick on this
Old
game.
Quarterback and 3 young tailbacks coming into play here for Indianapolis. I just like the football team. I like Frank Reich. And again, one of those honest efforts you are always going to get typically comes from the Colts, and way more to play with now that we're heading towards the back stretch of the season. than what we were playing for even a couple weeks ago, just trying to stretch it. But you're right. Deshaun Watson, if he gives you an all-world performance, he can carry you. But I think that each and every week doing that, you saw it sort of run its course going up against the Bears, where the Bears just said, we'll do whatever we want on offense. And you're talking about two similar defenses to me between like the Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. I think they can replicate that and take them out again on back-to-back road games here for the Houston Texans. Let's keep going. 347, 348. Detroit and Tennessee. Says undecided on who the quarterback's going to be. Doesn't look like it's going to be Matthew Stafford, and that raises many alarm bells right off the bat because Kenny Golladay, last time I checked, not even getting full practices in. If you want to go with a backup quarterback, Matthew Stafford always gives me that effort I need if I'm looking to take a dog, specifically in the range we're looking at. The 7.5s, the 8s, now up to 11s at a lot of outlets, and a total of 51.5. If Matthew Stafford is, obviously that line would not be 11, probably be looking more closer to that 7-point range.
Right.
It's hard to take it. Tennessee should be able to do whatever they want in this game, Kyle. But again, I need a runner on the opposite side to propel me to those team totals or overs that I need. Because if it turns into a game where, hey, we don't have to air it out with Tannehill and use A.J. Brown. We could just run it for 6 to 7 yards a clip. That clock ticks. There's no reason in the fourth quarter to put your press down. But if something miraculous, which we've seen many times where Matthew Stafford wasn't supposed to play, the kid's tough as nails, and shows up there on Sunday, that completely changes this dynamic. But as it looks right now, another one of those really good teaser pieces. And if I'm going to get like a Chase Daniel or a backup or whoever that I'm going to get from Detroit, I'm already, Kyle, flipping over to that first half and saying to myself, what can I get as a price? The 6.5s, the 6s should be there. Tennessee should be up by a touchdown at the half if Matthew Stafford doesn't play for Detroit.
Oh, yeah, they should be up more than that. I'm actually not even – normally I don't take these double-digit favorites. I stay away from it. But Tennessee, I'm only seeing on a few books, minus 11. I'm with you on the under. I don't think Detroit puts up enough points, even though that Tennessee defense, look, if you're going to be a backup quarterback, I can think of very few defenses in the league you'd rather face right now than the Titans. They don't rush the passer. They can't cover anybody. Not real physical, not real aggressive. But, I mean, Kenny Golladay is listed as doubtful. So we're talking like Chase Daniel to Mohamed Sanu. I mean, I'm sorry. That's a lot of pain. That team total will be a ton of pain. Maybe I'll flip to Detroit for pain instead of going after these Jets every week. But look, and then you look for Detroit. They're not only going to be without Desmond Trufant, who's been terrible this year, Jeff Okudah, who's been terrible. Now Darryl Roberts, who was filling in as their third, fourth corner as a starter, he's on the injury report as well. So this Tennessee offense, Detroit's one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. They're one of the worst secondaries in the league. Now the secondary's beat up. Now you're talking most likely Chase Daniel. No Kenny Golladay. I just don't see Detroit putting up more than I think Tennessee boat races them. I think they're up by more than a touchdown at the half, and they're up by double digits. And it will not surprise me if this is one of those like 31-6, 34-6 type games where Tennessee just puts their foot on their neck and just boat races them in this game. I like Tennessee a lot here. Again, we still got to wait and see. We don't know for sure. It's not going to be Matthew Stafford, so it's a little early to jump in on that bet, if you will. But and of course, we've got the real fantasy hero of the week, the Detroit center, right, with the broken throat. Like who? I mean, that's fantasy football if I ever heard of it. There we go. But bing. But no, I like the Titans this week.
Well, I'm looking at some of the team totals here, looking at Fox Bet over here in the U.S. Tennessee sitting in that 32 range, which is – should they get it? Yes. But it's high, like usually when you cheer for a team total, which I'm looking in some of that range for like that, anywhere like the ridiculous numbers, which we're going to talk about one of those, which is one of the more incredible ones you're ever going to see or hear about. But that 17-point range up to like 23.5 to maybe 26.5, because even if you get a high octane offense, okay, I could see 27 on the board makes sense. Into the 30s, like you get like a touchdown in the first quarter right away, and you don't even feel good yet. You get like another one, you're like, well, I only got 14, when typically you'd be well on your way to covering. Those are high numbers. But look at the Detroit team total here. 18.5 minus 133, 20.5 plus 105. If Matthew Stafford doesn't play, I know how bad Tennessee's defense is, but that doesn't show me like we're all rah-rahed up to go on the road without Matthew Stafford and a lot of dominant weapons on the outside and put up points here. So something to keep an eye on. But it's early. We'll know Sunday. As you guys know, we do the closing line 12 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. We'll know who that starting quarterback's going to be, and if Matthew Stafford makes a miraculous recovery out here, then I'm starting to look at that over. I mean, I could really feel 51 if Stafford's slinging it around there. I don't care who's at wide receiver. He should be able to make some hay, so to speak, in that game. But just looking at the chat box here, 10. Look, I think you're right on point with that. And if you are a teaser guy, a 10-point teaser, a money line 7 parlay guy, Detroit ain't going down to beat Tennessee, man. Come on now.
No, that's not going to happen. That's just fine as a money line parlay piece, and I don't even think you have to tease it that much, really, especially if it ends up being Chase Daniel. I think you're probably just fine. Just take the price, and Tennessee should get things done there. And again, it doesn't feel great taking double-digit favorites. It never does. But this is one you could probably you could feel pretty safe about this one if it ends up being Chase Daniel with that defense of Detroit can't stop anybody.
No, they absolutely can't. And by the way, as we said, we're keeping everything in rotational order, not specifically to time. So we're going to get a 4:05 game up. And this, if you like pain, which I'm in pain right now, but it still doesn't even equal the pain of what you could be doing on Sunday and having fun here. Because as I looked, me and Kyle joked about it. Yesterday I put out a tweet like, man, 12.5 is a team total. Like, this is ridiculous. Surfing again today. The 10.5 comes up, and now I'm going to myself I'm breaking out in the sweats, going a 10 and you just on principle see a 10.5, and it doesn't matter if the combination of Ben DiNucci and Cam Newton's arm comes into play. You still got to jump on that. Why am I looking at this 10.5 between the Jets and the Los Angeles Rams here, 349, 350 on the rotation, and saying it's 10.5 at one of my books here, Kyle? 10.5. But if you look at the Jets' last 3 games, there's 2 of the last 3. They scored 3 points. So it's not as if you're getting a juggernaut out here that says, hey, we just had a couple bad games and we're going to be in a dome. Yes, elite defense, one of the better ones in the NFL. But I'm talking, Kyle, like a Jared Goff fumble inside his own red zone is a field. 10?
Is it a field goal? Is it a field goal, though? Because I felt the pain last week with the Jets. I mean, maybe if they brought in Sarah Fuller, I'd feel a whole lot better about their chances of hitting that 10.5, because that kicker can't make. I mean, that was painful to watch. It hurt. It hurt bad. I've taken the pain with the Jets. I like having some fun with the Jets. It makes it interesting to watch. But my goodness, this Rams defense, I think the Rams defense is the best defense in the league. I really do. I think they have the most talent spread out. Top to front 7, secondary. That secondary is vicious. Aaron Donald's obviously the best defensive lineman in the league. What do I see myself probably putting a bet on this 10.5? Yeah, I'm an idiot and I'm a degenerate and I love the pain, so I'll probably do it. But do I know that it's going to hurt? Oh, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt bad. Now, when you look at the sides on this, I just don't bet games 17.5, 18. I have, unless it's college football and it's Alabama versus, Southwest Kentucky, A&M or whatever. I just don't do that. So should the Rams cover that spread? Probably. They should be able to boat race the Jets. It shouldn't be a problem at all. But I'm completely staying away from that. The only thing that's intriguing me, I don't even know why you had to tell me about that damn 10.5, because I didn't want anything to do with it. And then you send the tweet out. And I mean, look, I took the 16.5 last week. One thing you're going to see with the Jets. So let's say you take under the team total. You're like, I just don't believe in the Jets. I'm taking the under. 6 straight games they've gone down and scored on their opening possession, and then nothing after that. God, it's so bad. I can't find any reason to take the Jets to cover here. I don't want anything to do with the 17.5. Probably want nothing to do with the total. So for me, it'll just be having fun and taking the Jets 10.5, realizing I have a great chance to lose. That's all I can really say about this damn game. It's just, and even Adam Gase, I've let down the ownership. Of course you have. You suck. You're terrible. The only ownership has let the city down by not firing you 8 weeks ago when you should have been fired. Going into Miami. But yeah, complete stay away game. If you want some pain, have some fun, take that 10.5, because it does make common sense. Yeah.
It does make common sense, because when you look outside, I mean, look, and it even ratchets it up because New England looks so porous against them. And that's a similar, actually, if you want to argue, the Jets offense is actually better than New England's. If you line them up man by man on what, in today's NFL, I'm not saying, well, I have a couple running backs on no, I'm talking about the forward pass to win. New England doesn't have any of that. So if the 3 amigos at wide receiver for the Jets show up, the only issue is can Sam Darnold just, I guess when you look at him, he's so shell-shocked. And there's a lot of quarterbacks this year in that same realm where they can't block for him. The team is horrendous. And they're just saying, hey, man, take one for the team out there and let's just see if we can move on the next week. And don't even worry about it, Sam, because next year you're not even going to be here to play quarterback. So just don't die out there. So we might be able to get like a 4th-round pick for you, and we'll keep it moving. But that's 17.5. Let's just say Crowder, he doesn't really practice this week. He's out. Mims doesn't, clear protocol from leaving last week mysteriously to go to Texas and come back. And that would leave you just like Perriman, who's always banged up. And we know how that gets. That means, like, forget about, like, scoring points. You're worried about, like, crossing the 50 a couple times in that game if you can even do it. I don't mind taking that 17.5, which ratchets up another level, because 17 you can, 14 and another 3, at least you get a push. I don't see the Jets being competitive. So when we talked about it again on Tuesday, the same thing comes into play. If you can get a 9 or a 9.5 in the first half, the Jets aren't going to be in this game, I don't think. And the only thing you're hoping for, Kyle, is a late cover. But what has shown you the propensity that the Jets are doing anything late in any ball game,
Yeah, no, there's no way I would put money on the Jets. I like not even like an ounce in terms of covering here.
Crazy.
It's just, oh my God. I mean, 17.5 in today's NFL, it's pretty embarrassing. That organization should be absolutely embarrassed. And like I said, I think the Rams have the best defense in the NFL. So if the Rams really want to, shut them down, like, it won't shock me if the starters for the Rams don't play in the fourth quarter. It won't shock me if this is 30-3 going into the fourth quarter. So then maybe,
and the Jets probably can't score. I mean, that's how crazy it is.
It's insane. So, like, just stay the hell away. If you're betting aside, you have to bet the Rams. And 17.5, you're right. Now you're basically saying they've got to win by 3 touchdowns. You can't even, like, maybe root for that push in your parlays at 17. And I actually expect this number to keep going up. It's certainly not going to go down. There's nothing that gives you any faith in the Jets. Rams, they should cover. I'll have some fun with that team total of the Jets, but other than that, stay the hell away from this game is what I would say. Or make it like, you're going to get like 5 cents, and like if it's like the 8th piece of your money line parlay or something. I mean, that's the only way I'm betting this game.
Like, it's because it feels like 31-6 this game, so it would stay under the total of 43.5. But again, that's it. We'll say, well, then why would you take the 10.5? Just out of principle. Like, when you just see a 10.5 in the NFL, you're like, I don't know, maybe Goff throws a pick 6 like he did against San Francisco, and that's 7 points, and you need theoretically 2 drives to get to the 30-yard line in a dome. It's not snowy conditions, it's not windy weather. Just wild to see that stuff, and it really intrigues me because I know better than to take that. And then I always find myself like 1 a.m. looking at the card, like scratching my forehead, going, what? Now it's time to take this game and let's ride or die. So we'll have some fun looking at that as the week goes on. But the last 5 games we just did here, every team there's team markedly better than the other one. And we're probably going to get something similar in this next game, 351, 352, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. 6 out of 10 tickets here coming in on Tampa Bay. We took a look at Ronald Jones last week, 18 carries, 60, 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Now we find out he's not COVID positive, but maybe in the general range of contact where he might not be able to play Sunday, gets a pin in his finger. And now we're going to go back to 3 wides and throwing it 50 times all over the field, which might be a good thing if you're looking at the over. But the Atlanta Falcons, again, do we get Julio Jones in this one? Opened up at 51.5. Now we're seeing it back down to 49.5. And to me, old school Atlanta football was always about overs. Aerial assault, fast running backs out of the backfield. Wasn't too long ago they had one of the fastest combinations. Now it seems like they have these slowest combinations in the backfield when they used to, ball. What was it? Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you had Kyle Shanahan dialing up everything, which was phenomenal. Now they just seem like relics out here with a quarterback that's losing strength in his arm, a wide receiver that's injured once again in Julio Jones. But are we able to take Tampa Bay? Because if we're looking final score this week, hey, Donnie, Kyle, see, last week they won by double digits over Minnesota. If you watch that football game, they probably should have lost that game outright to an undermanned Minnesota defense. Now you're going in again. The same factor comes in. Atlanta may not be as talented as they once were, but goddamn, do they play for Raheem Morris? And I think they're going to do it again. Do I think Tampa Bay wins this game? Yes. But I don't want to be caught in that crossfire. Like, what are they doing? 3 and out. Interception from Brady. He's getting sacked. I don't want anything to do with that. So I'm actually going to lean early here on Thursday, maybe change it for Sunday, to take the Atlanta Falcons getting the 6 points here in division.
I thought we were going to disagree, and I was going to be alone on the island. And, we just saw Atlanta lose to the Chargers, for Christ's sake. We just saw them lose to the Chargers. But you're right, they are playing hard for Raheem Morris, and the defense has been better. Now you're probably going to have Leonard Fournette as your starting running back this week. A good DFS play, by the way. I think he's 4,500 or something available on something like 85% of ESPN leagues. So if you're looking for a streaming option this week in fantasy football or DFS, I think Leonard Fournette's just fine. You should see a few catches out of the backfield. It's hard to, and you're absolutely right. I was all over Tampa Bay. I was lucky that Dan Bailey couldn't kick, a field goal and missed 4 kicks. And, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Kelsey dumped Zane Gonzalez is now back with Dan Bailey or Sergio Castillo from the Jets. But one of these kickers, maybe both, who knows? She's a heartbreaker. Maybe she's breaking both their hearts. But you're right. When you look at Tampa Bay, like Tom Brady, has he been solid? He's been solid. But, I mean, they even talk about it, ad nauseum in that broadcast. I know he hit the one deep ball to Scotty Miller. But the accuracy and the acumen going deep isn't there. So this feels like, for me, I'm nervous to take Tampa Bay by over a touchdown on the road. I'm nervous to take Atlanta because obviously it's a team that you cannot trust. But I like the under in this game. I think Atlanta's defense does enough to Tampa Bay. Even though Tampa Bay's secondary has regressed and they're not very good anymore either, and will certainly give up points, I don't know that I trust Matt Ryan. Julio Jones didn't practice today. Even if he plays, how many plays we get him for? Like newsflash, shocking. Julio Jones not practicing, leaves after a couple of plays. So I think the 49.5 is too high. I like the under in this game. Not sure I trust either team well enough to take a side. But I'd probably be with you if I was picking a side. I would take the Falcons to cover and the Bucks to win in a close game. One thing to watch for Atlanta's kicker, man, Younghoe Koo. He can make a kick from anywhere. I love that guy. Younghoe Koo has been my boy. So he could be potentially, let's say it's 8, 9 or 9-point game late, a field goal here to make it a 1-possession game. A push doesn't seem crazy to me, but I just don't trust Tampa Bay enough to take them by more than a touchdown on the road. But I do like the under 49.5. I think both teams struggle a little bit to score, which I know seems weird, but that's sort of what happens with Atlanta and Tampa. It's interesting. I like the under in this game.
Yeah, so and again, you're getting into the same issues that we've had. It seems like every game has one team with something to play for and the other team with absolutely nothing to play for. And that is a factor at this time of the year. But sometimes at home, veteran team, Matt Ryan's not going to throw the game. And again, you can only go by on what Atlanta's done. Their season has been a wreck for a long time, but still playing hard for the head coach. I think they'll play hard as well. Looking in the chat box here. And look, Jason Hall says the Bucks will eat. When you look man for man, they are clearly the better football team, but something we can all agree is just missing so far with Tampa Bay. They haven't been able to figure it out. And I was cheering last week when they say, hey, you know what, Fournette, get out of my life. Let me just hand the football to the more talented runner, and let's feed off of that. He goes down and injured, and now what are we going to see this week? Hey, Leonard, welcome back to – and it's just you're just going over the same motions time and time again. But, again, good weather. You're not going to have to worry about anything since it's in a dome. But I'm going to lean Atlanta here on this Thursday football show. Over 200 people sharing the news with us today. Thank you guys for coming in, checking out, and hanging out with us here again. 76,800 people cannot be wrong. Thank you for subscribing in here and supporting all we do at sportsbookreview.com. Let's keep going here. Boy, oh boy. You want to talk about a game at 1 o'clock, which a couple weeks ago may have been a little bit easier for me to take a look at. This one is going to be really rough on the eyes. 353, 354, Cam Newton and Tua Tagovailoa, sort of that changing of the guard. The old elder statesman used to run around. Now is broken down. You got the young buck over there in Tua. Miami moving in the right direction. New England sinking like a rock. Then you look at that line and say, what the hell am I missing here? A team headed towards the playoffs, one team with a quarterback that basically does not have an arm, and were absolutely embarrassed the week before. Well, you have to take a look at who you're playing, when you're playing, and where you're playing, because if I'm playing the Miami Dolphins, Kyle, probably want them this week. Devontae Parker, great wide receiver. Hamstring issues. We know how that works because even if let's just say he's going to play, he's not going to be effective. But even if he does, right, series or two in, on the sideline. Then you take a look at Jakeem Grant, a speedster who needs his legs more than anybody. Same issues with the hamstring. Does he make it to the starting line? And if he does, by the first drive, is he already out of the football game? We'll see if we can get, the Myles Gaskins of the world back to run. But This is a depleted offensive team, and also Mike Gesicki as well. You know what's funny? It's still not enough to make me take New England. How crazy. Like a rookie quarterback with no weapons, and I'm going, I can't even look at New England again after seeing them on their Thursday night effort. I'm like, hey, you know what? I think they'll play well for the first half. They get stuffed on the goal line. They were never competitive the rest of the way. It's crazy. Like the line is one, opened up at like 2.5 range. It's 1, and I can't look in New England's direction because it comes down to this for me, Kyle. If I have Tua and he drops back, I'm watching the TV going, make a play, son, make a play. Cam Newton, when he drops back, I'm going, run, because you can't throw. I can't bet a team like that. I can't do it.
Oh, this game, you just cannot bet this game. And I've told you, I don't know what the hell the New England Patriots are. What I know they are is an inept offense and a very good defense. And we saw what Bill Belichick did to a rookie quarterback on the rise. What did he do to Herbert? I mean, that Chargers offense looked lost, absolutely lost. Now you talk Miami, very unlikely Myles Gaskin plays. You know, not only was he hurt, then he got put on the COVID list. We'll have to see what happens there. Yeah. Maybe they get Salvin Ahmed left. Okay, fantastic. Now, you know, Parker, Gesicki, Grant, like honest to God, what is this total sitting at 41.5? Yeah. It will not shock me if this game's under. It wouldn't shock me if this game's under 30 points.
7-6 at the half.
7-6 at the half will not shock me at all, because I think the New England defense will shut down the Miami offense, but I also think the Miami offense will shut down the New England defense. And one thing that's interesting, it might be a little harder to get turnovers in this game for Miami because, I mean, they've just been interception in 8 straight games, 9 straight games, something like that. Cam Newton's going to throw the ball like 11 times. I mean, you know they're not out there looking to throw the ball in these corners, and Cam Newton couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I mean, he's absolutely abysmal throwing the football. Tua is clearly the better quarterback in this scenario. I don't trust either team's offense. With all those injuries to the weapons for Miami, I'm not even sure how effective they'd be anyway, because I do think Stephon Gilmore can give Devontae Parker plenty of problems. If Ryan Fitzpatrick was starting this game, I'd probably lean Miami. Yeah, I would lean Miami because I just, they would take some chances and throw the ball a little more down the field. I was encouraged by what I saw in that sort of garbage time scenario last week against the Chiefs. Thought Tua really started to open up a little bit, take some chances. I like that. Not sure that's the best strategy this week. This is a complete stay away game for me. If I'm betting something on this, I would bet the under 41.5. I just don't think either one of these teams score many points.
Yeah, a long time ago, opening days particularly, you did see a victory over the Ryan Fitzpatrick-led Miami Dolphins, who got beat up in Foxborough. So now we'll see if they can return the favor. And again, one team in New England not playing for the playoffs and one team in Miami playing for the playoffs. But I do see that 41.5 is a ridiculously low number. But you have to ask yourself, when you're taking totals, it's not so much that the total is low. You have to have the semblance of explosive plays. And this might be the least explosive game you are going to see this year, specifically if Jakeem Grant's not healthy and Devontae Parker. Yep. Who can even run fast forget about like catching a football and breaking away? Who can even like run enough to get a first down in this game? Good Lord, man.
Lee Bowden Jr. Sign, get him in there in your DFS lineup. Some pain this week, some foreshadowing for that Saturday morning thing we do. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, you just stay the hell away from this game. That's that's honestly my advice. Stay the hell away from this game. If you're desperate to play, if it's the only game you can watch in your area, take the under, sweat it out with everyone, because I think that's what happens in this one.
Yeah, so John Lewis brings up Kraft already bought the win. Now I'm going to take this another direction. Robert Kraft going back to the state of Florida. He loves flowers called orchids, Kyle. Maybe they get sidetracked here. So. Yeah,
he might not even be at that game, or maybe you see him land on a helicopter a little bit later, looking relaxed with a nice sheen on his face and a cup of hot tea to get the juices flowing, and he's got a couple hundreds in his pocket. That's about maybe you can bet on that. The over 1.5 massages this week for Robert Kraft. There you can find that prop. There we go.
Talking about massages and calf massages here, Kyle. 355, 356, Seattle and Washington. I know there's a lot of stands out here that love Washington, and look, it's because the NFC East stinks. Every team in the NFC East stinks. But I have to tell you, if you're looking at this game right now and you say, Seattle plays close, the team's understandable. Seattle getting a little bit healthier on defense. You still got Russell Wilson. You're going into this game, who Alex Smith is already a horrendous NFL quarterback stats-wise. Stats prove it out. I don't care. Hey, boy, he's a great guy. He's really, I can't believe it. Look, take all the nices out where I say don't live in Candyland and look at the numbers. 36 rated quarterbacks in the NFL. Alex Smith is 35.
Yeah.
He's now damaged goods, which I don't know what he came into the games with this year. But now the calf is hurt, so he can't get away from anything. He already doesn't throw down. And if you want to have a drinking game and just have some fun, a lot of times you see, hey, if somebody says this word, drink. If Alex Smith on third down throws short of the sticks, I'm not talking about like 3rd and 3 like a slip pass. I'm talking 3rd and 18s. He's routinely throwing into the flat saying, hey, wide receiver, running back, run 16 yards with this ball to get the first down. You will be drunk on Sunday. But then again, if he doesn't go, which I don't think he's going to this, let's keep him out of practice. Again, hamstring and calf injury for a skill position player is deadly, and especially a guy that can't protect himself as is. Now he's going out with a calf injury. So then that brings you to Dwayne Haskins, who at least will push the ball downfield. But to who, I have no idea. This is one of the easier sides for me this week. And when I say paint by numbers, I'm saying 5.5. I don't know how Washington sticks around unless they score twice on defense.
That's the only way it's possible, and it's unlikely. I mean, we saw Russell Wilson have sort of that little turnover purge in the middle of the season. That's not happening this week. It's sad. The chat box is right. Alex Smith is their only hope, is their only chance, because Dwayne Haskins is even worse. I mean, Dwayne Haskins probably won't be on Washington next year. If he is, he'll be the number 3 quarterback. They will be you might see your boy Carson Wentz sitting there in Washington. We know Daniel Snyder loves to pull the trigger on those expensive contracts. That will not shock me if the Eagles go, hey, Carson Wentz makes a lot of mistakes. Only a few teams want him. Let's ship him over here to Washington, get a few turnovers twice a year this year. Seattle that line is too short. And we talk about it. Russell Wilson normally plays close games. Didn't last week. They put their foot on the neck, if you will, of the Jets, beat them 40-3. Even though that Seattle defense is not very good, it's bad for that matter. That Washington, Dwayne Haskins, anytime, if I think Dwayne Haskins has a 50% or better chance of playing, I am just pounding the other team, doing everything I can. I'm taking the interception props because he's probably going to turn the football over. The kid is not ready for the NFL. Seattle should beat the brakes off of Washington 5.5. I don't want to waste too much time here. No. Seattle should beat them and beat them easily. Washington, I love their defense, and I still think they're probably the best team in the NFC East. But they're not beating the Seattle Seahawks this week. Seahawks win by over a touchdown pretty easily. I just don't see Washington scoring that many points with Dwayne Haskins.
I agree. 3:57, 3:58, 1 o'clock Sunday. Chicago goes in and plays Minnesota. Well, again, Minnesota played well last week, but break up the Chicago Bears, finally winning a football game and continue on their merry way of playing horrendous defenses. And it looks like they're going to get another horrendous defense with Minnesota. Keep an eye on see if Eric Kendricks comes back this week. But again, you're talking about an explosive player who plays middle linebacker with a calf injury. And why would he even want to come back? Minnesota could still make the play. I mean, come on, man. Let's be serious with this. Minnesota's got an elite offense. They will score against the Bears defense. The question is, can Mitchell Trubisky continue to play decent football and have a nice running game in Montgomery, spread it around to the wide receivers, make some athletic plays with his legs, because that leads you into an over-under of 46. I like the Bears defense. Minnesota's going to score on anybody as long as they get somebody competent that inside. I'm not even talking about a 55-yarder, 50-yarder, or 47-yarder. Make a couple 35-yarders, and Minnesota will be in the 20s against Chicago. Forget about the side in this one bit. It is where you want Mitchell Trubisky, to say the least, getting points as opposed to laying points. I actually like the over because you're showing Pinnacle 46, Chris 46.5. New Jersey bet 365, 46.5. I think we can get to 47 points in this game. 27-20 seems like a pretty good deal here. 27-21 in that range. I think they can get it done.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Vikings defense stinks, and Kendricks didn't practice yesterday. I haven't saw today's practice report for the Vikings, but I know he didn't practice yesterday. And you also look at the Bears a little bit here. Buster Screen, who's been terrible, didn't play last week. He's probably not. Jalen Johnson, also not very good. They have the Fuller's the one good corner for Chicago. But we're in the Dome here. Bears defense, I know they looked okay last week against Houston in that cold weather. Houston sort of gave up in that game. But I think you're right. I think the over is the bet here. If I'm picking a side, I'll take the home team in 3 points. with the Vikings. I don't trust either one of these quarterbacks, but this isn't a big game under the lights sort of game for Kirk Cousins, which is why I trust him a little bit more. Chicago's defense hasn't been all world. This isn't monsters of the Midway, certainly better than Minnesota, so I'd lean toward the Vikings. But I like what you said there. I like the over. Now, again, you're counting on Trubisky to show up. He's done it for us the last couple of weeks offensively. He really has. He has not been awful. So I think the over 47 here is a pretty low number in the dome. So I'll take the over and I'll take the Vikings to cover. Again, not a hugely exciting game. Another game you're hoping isn't plastered on your red zone screen when you're watching red zone. But don't be surprised when it is. Take the Vikings, take the over. There you go. Maserati Mitch.
Eric Kendricks did not practice for a second straight day today, so something to keep an eye on. Usually you got to practice Friday to get going. But when he's your best defensive player, what are we rushing him back for this year anyway? So you want to damage his calf even more? I would not be surprised if he misses this football game coming up on Sunday. Jacksonville and Baltimore, another one of these games where you're looking at one team looking to make a press to the playoffs in Baltimore who really needs wins, going up against Jacksonville. But here's the caveat in this game. You're not going to get that bad of weather here. Up in the Northeast, talking about like 38, 39, 42 degrees, somewhere in that range. Light winds. But here's the issue again. You got some COVID contacts at wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. To be honest with you, I don't really think it matters who's actually – I mean, of course you need wide receivers, but if you have the three-headed monster in that backfield being Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, and the Gus Bus, you should be just fine going up against Jacksonville's defense. That can't stop anything. But here's what we like about this game. When you take a look at team totals and chances for fighting, and giving you an honest effort, does Jacksonville win this game? Absolutely. Like, Baltimore's going to pound them. It would be surprising if Baltimore punts more than 2 times in this game unless Lamar Jackson just is horrendous, which hasn't shown up, and even missing games with quote-unquote cramps in the second half comes back to throw a touchdown. That's an elite offense. You pencil them in for mid to high 20s, but you got Gardner Minshew on the opposite side. And why is that important? Because the seasonal statistics don't care who's at quarterback for Jacksonville. So when they set some of these lines, they go, well, Jacksonville stinks on offense. Yeah, because you looked at Mike Glennon and you looked at Jake Luton for a couple games, but you see the way the offense operates. I believe when he came in that second half, 18 of 31 through a touchdown pass, they still got blown out. But the kid can make plays in the backfield. And what did we see out of Cleveland? I'm not comparing Jacksonville's offense to Cleveland's offense, but if they can block that pass rush for Baltimore, which isn't that great, even with the 3 really good cornerbacks last week who are now banged up and injured, Minshew and those wideouts, they'll be able to move the football. The team total interests me in this game, and also the total for the game at 47 as well.
Yeah, the newest addition to the fraud list is the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. On paper, coming into the season, the easiest schedule in the NFL, 438 winning percentage from the year past. Traveling the fewest miles of any team in the NFL. They have not left the Eastern time zone since week 2 of the NFL season. Then they break all COVID protocols. What does the NFL do? They bend over backwards to make things as good and easy for Baltimore as possible. Now here we go again. Another COVID situation with Baltimore. Well, it won't shock me if Roger Goodell comes in and says, hey, we're ordering Jacksonville to play with 9 players on offense and defense this week. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but they're doing everything in their power to make things easy for Baltimore. I think Jacksonville covers here. Look, if you don't have Hollywood Brown, you don't have Miles Boykin. So, I mean, you're going to be running out Devin DuVernay and, Willie
I think he's on the list.
Devin DuVernay's even on the list. So I don't even know who the hell you throw out on the field. Des Bryant apparently quit one test, and that's all he can handle. What I loved about that, go back to that game is when Des Bryant, they pulled him off the field, he tested positive. He quits the game. While he's quitting, tweeting out that I can't take this, I'm quitting. They're talking about his maturity and how he's grown into a man. And it's like, Jesus. I don't know what the hell.
And it's funny where they activate him against the Steelers and they lose because, he's on the field. Then he can't even get on the field. And they look pretty good on offense. So,
yeah, I think Jacksonville actually covers here. Am I in love with it? No. Am I betting this game? Absolutely not. I have no desire to bet the Ravens by double digits. And I could find Jacksonville. We saw Jacksonville with Jake Luton cover against Green Bay in Lambeau Field in cold weather. Yeah. Now they're getting a Baltimore defense they're just not that good anymore. I mean, you gave up 42 points to Cleveland in cold weather. I know we probably got to speed up here a little bit as we're getting close to Kelsey time, but if I was going to bet this, I would bet Jacksonville to cover here. I think the Ravens are a fraud.
Yeah, take a look at the injury report for Thursday for the Ravens. Calais Campbell did not practice. Devontae Harris, the cornerback, did not practice. Anthony Levine did not practice. Marcus Peters, Jimmy Smith also didn't practice, so neither one of those cornerbacks went. Derek Wolfe also sat this one out as well. So a banged-up team. And again, you're looking at this going, hey, we could probably win without a lot of components here for Jacksonville. So if you can at least get one of those cornerbacks down, injured, or maybe leaves the field in the first two series, that's a boon there because theoretically, when you look at the offense for Jacksonville, you have the components to move the ball. Athletic quarterback, boomer bust, mini Ryan Fitzpatrick, I like to call him. Then you have a good young running back, and you have 4 or 5 wide receivers that are interchangeable out there. So some good stuff here from Jackson. As I said, that they'll probably put up 3 points. So that's what it is. 361, 362. We're skipping to the night game. And I think you got another paint-by-numbers game here. The Giants, who were 4.5 for primarily most of the week, jumped to 5s, 5.5s, and 6s here this week already. Why is that? Bradbury now is going to sit out. We're now seeing Daniel Jones, right? Hey, now he's got an ankle injury on top of his hamstring injury, who he looked horrendous last week anyway. And if you want to go back and watch film and say, all right, if Daniel Jones sits out, what do I get from Colt McCoy? Go watch him against an underperforming Seattle defense. You'll load up on Cleveland here. Cleveland by a touchdown or more just because the Giants flat out stink.
Yeah, this is like a cruel trick by the NFL gods because how many weeks in a row do I need to call Cleveland a fraud? And now I have to take them. I even did my pick 6 a little early and took Cleveland. I had to do it. No James Bradbury. That's by far their best secondary player. Yep. Yeah, you may or may not get Daniel Jones back. Could get a little bit of rain in this game. No, after watching what Arizona did last week, it's sad. It sucks. Listen, I still don't think Cleveland's good or going anywhere in the playoffs. But hobble Daniel Jones or healthy Colt McCoy, either way, Cleveland should win this game and win it pretty easily. So I got Cleveland here.
Yeah, same thing also keep in mind as you lose Bradbury, who's the one guy you're waiting for the Cleveland defense to come back and say, hey, enough is enough. Denzel Ward's practicing this week. And again, you're talking about not defending against, Peyton Manning in his prime. You're talking about maybe a half leg of Daniel Jones. I don't know which one. It'd be kind of funny if he has his left hamstring and his right ankle hurt. So his whole thing is mobility. And then Colt McCoy, who dropped. Here's what gets me angry about the end. Sometimes I got to get myself sidetracked here. There's very few plays in a game that an offensive coordinator dials up that says, here's your shot to hit a home run. Where they run the play action, it's blocked up beautifully. The quarterback takes that 7-step drop, then throws it to the flat for like a 5-yard gain. That's Colt McCoy, and that drives me. I almost cry because I'm a team total guy, Kyle. When I see those, because you get like 3 or 4 of those a game where the guy literally says over your headset, take the shot here. And they look like, let me just dump it down to the flat. I'm going to cry. So I'm way off on the Giants in this one. I think they get boat raced. Go ahead.
And how about this, too? Jason Garrett, who, isn't an all-world coach. He's not going to be there. So who's calling the plays for the Giants? We get to go against a Freddie Kitchens coached offense. Oh, that is fantastic. Against his old boys with the Browns. He did such a spectacular job there as well. Yeah, I'll go against Freddie Kitchens anytime. That's another just bonus for the Browns. It's a cruel trick by the NFL gods. They knew I would have to swallow my hate for the Browns and pick them this week. Too good to be true. Got to take the Browns. Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because if there's odds that, maybe Dave Mason at BetOnline can make these up. If the Giants get a 1st and goal from the 1 with a Freddie Kitchens offense, I'm betting they don't score on that drive. It's got to be a pretty good numbers on this. So we'll see if that chimes in. 4 o'clock game this weekend, 363, 364. My Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts go on the road after a really nice victory over the New Orleans Saints. They're going to take on the Arizona Cardinals. This is another one to watch because I'm waiting to get some practice reports back here for Philadelphia. I didn't see anything ring across, which it usually does, saying, here we go. So we got some stuff back here. Fletcher Cox did practice today, which is fine. He's been sitting out and going in and out. Darius Slay did get limited practice in today, but he hasn't been cleared yet from the concussion. That's one to watch because you theoretically could have 3 out of 4 starters in the secondary down for the Philadelphia Eagles. You can hold up against Taysom Hill, and they almost let it go in the second half where even Taysom Hill was lighting that secondary up. You're not going to be able to let that go against a legitimate offense with a kid that can run around with a laser beam that can shoot it downfield. Tough one for the Philadelphia Eagles. But again, I look at this game, Kyle, as much as my thoughts were of that Cleveland Giants game. If I'm getting under 7, I'm going Cleveland. Or excuse me, I'm going the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Eagles in that 28-21 range. I think they get the cover. Do I think it's a blowout? No, because the Eagles have been playing hard all year long, similar to what Atlanta's doing. I just don't think they have enough in the secondary to hold down that Arizona offense here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you look, so you sort of look, the Eagles most of the year, an aggressive front seven. They play a lot of man-to-man. They leave those corners on an island, and they got to make plays. Last week, they changed it up. Why? Because they had a running quarterback. So they played zone, but they also let Darius Slay shadow Michael Thomas. When you look at those three wideouts from the last 3 weeks, DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas, I'm forgetting the other one for some reason off the top of my head right now. They smash them. They just absolutely smash them. It should be a big bounce back day fantasy-wise.
Adams, right?
Devontae Adams, thank you very much. They have DeAndre Hopkins should absolutely go off. Is the Cardinals defense very good? No. Do I think the Eagles score points? Yes. I like the over 49.5 a lot in this game. I think both offenses are able to score. The Eagles defense without that help in the secondary and with Kyler Murray sort of negating that pass rush for Philadelphia. That's what they do best. Let's make no mistake about it. The Eagles' best asset is their pass rush. Now you've got Kyler Murray, who seems to be healthy, taking advantage of that. Under a touchdown, you're right. I like the Cardinals. But what I like even more is that over 49.5. I think both offenses are able to move the football this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I want to see how the Eagles come out. But here's a tweet that was sent out earlier this week, I believe yesterday, for the Philadelphia Eagles, possibility of their secondary coming in this weekend. This isn't like a pipe dream. This looks like it's probably going to be that. Michael Jacquet at left cornerback. You're saying who exactly? Yep. Nakel Roby-Coleman, who's had a terrible year so far for the Eagles. He'll be your slot guy and stay there. Not Donnie Seymour, like me. Kevon Seymour will be as another cornerback at the right side. Jalen Mills, who's bounced between safety and also cornerback. And then rookie Kevon Wallace, who barely gets on the field. That's going up against an elite offense and maybe the best wide receiver in football. Again, the Eagles will play hard, but you can only play so hard with the guys that you're bringing to the table. They're not going to be able to hold up. And you say, well, Donnie, did you see the way they played last week against New Orleans? That's not an aerial attack. You're going to get one of those this weekend, and it's going to be tough to compound. I'm rooting on my Eagles. I want some chaos the last couple of weeks in the NFC East, but that's a tough one. I think Arizona wins by a touchdown here. Let's keep going. Game of the day, game of the week, probably 365, 366. Kansas City and New Orleans. Patrick Mahomes going up against Taysom Hill is going to be in this game. They're not going to put, the old brittle man with 11 broken bones in his ribs back out on the field and say, hey, get after Kansas City. Question comes here is, can New Orleans answer back? Kansas City doesn't care that you have an elite defense. They just don't care. They're going to be in a dome. They're going to put up 28 points. Can Taysom Hill play good football and answer the bell is the question, because I'm taking a look at the team totals, sitting right around 24.5 for the New Orleans Saints, which seems about right. I do think they can get there. But it comes down to this, Kyle. I see the 3. Forget about the defense, which is clearly better on New Orleans. Forget about New Orleans, who actually Michael Thomas sat out of practice again today, something to keep your eye on. That offense still should move the football because Taysom Hill can run. He'll make plays with his feet. Alvin Kamara is one of the best running backs in the NFL. The issue I have here is keep it simple. Patrick Mahomes versus Taysom Hill. That's all it is. Give me Kansas City.
And it's the Chiefs under a touchdown now, so they're not having to cover 8.5, 9.5, 12.5, which they haven't been good at. So we've been making money by taking the opposite side of that. But now, -3 in a dome, you got to like Kansas City here an awful lot. Tyreek Hill is absolutely on fire. By the way, guys, can we get some thumbs up there in the chat box? 53 thumbs up, 242 watching. Let's get that up to around 100. Kelsey gets really upset when we don't have enough thumbs up when she gets in here. So make sure.
She's not even doing her hair if it doesn't get 100.
Yeah, she'll just leave. She'll turn around and won't even look at you guys if you don't thumbs up the video. So help us out in there. But no, without wasting too much time here, anytime you're getting Kansas City here under a touchdown, especially sitting around 3, you got to take the Chiefs. I think they win this one pretty easy. And, Taysom Hill, it's almost Drew Brees time. He won't be back this week. Patrick Mahomes, Taysom Hill, you're right. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, as we like to call it. Take the Chiefs here, -3.
Yeah, 367, 368, which is actually a 1 o'clock game, and I got myself going down this lonely path here because Nick Mullins, who has been there's a couple games, if you take a look at his grades game by game, there's been a couple games he's actually played well, but the majority have been absolutely below average. And when you sign up for that San Francisco offense, you think you're signing up for Kyle Shanahan, but you're really signing up for Nick Mullins and what he cares and really is going to give you on the field. He was atrocious. And again, I didn't have a team total in that game last week. I didn't even have a side that I gave out. But I'm watching it because I thought San Francisco would win that game by a touchdown because I'll just get competent play, Kyle. 16 for 28, 190 yards, a touchdown, maybe a pick, and that would be enough for Washington. But they get up 7-0, and it almost looked like somebody called him. It's like, yo, I'm coming to break your legs unless you lose this football game. And he detonated himself over the next 2.5 quarters and blew the game entirely. Now I look at this and I want to say, Dallas's defense stinks. The pass rush stinks. The linebackers stink. And the secondary stinks even more. Kyle Shanahan, even without Deebo Samuel, probably Raheem Mostert, should be able to move the football because you have a competent offensive line, which San Francisco does. You should be able to hand the football off and rip off chunks against Dallas, which then leads into play action pass and plenty of time to throw the football where Nick Mullins isn't under pressure like he would be, let's per se, against the Rams. I don't want to burn myself again. I agree with the line movement. -1 for San Francisco, up to -3. I absolutely agree. But boy, I would have liked it more if Deebo and Mostert were playing. Now you're asking me to say Nick Mullins win a football game, and oh my God, it's painful, Kyle.
Yeah, the good news here is you get Mike McCarthy versus Kyle Shanahan. So you get a legitimate genius and you get the short bus, okay? Because that's what Mike McCarthy is. He's the short bus in terms of NFL head coaches historically. Sorry, listen, my mom, by the way, is a fantastic special ed teacher, so I'm not making fun there, but that's what Mike McCarthy is. Look, even if without Raheem Mostert, the Dallas Cowboys cannot stop the run. Do they have good weapons on the outside? Sure. The 49ers are pretty decent secondary, a bit exposed by Buffalo. That doesn't concern me that much. I didn't feel good against them against Washington last week with that solid defense of Washington. I knew that would give Nick Mullins problems. The good news is Dallas defense isn't giving anybody any problems. My 49ers run the ball up and down their throat. Nick Mullins, you don't have to worry about him making mistakes this week because the Dallas Cowboys defense stinks. They absolutely stink. So Nick Mullins should be fine. The 49ers should be fine. I think they win this game on the road, taking a road favorite. No way I can pick the Cowboys. I've been picking the 49ers over the Cowboys since 1992 when we were robbed by a nonsense holding call on Guy McIntyre on the first play of the game. Some of you 49ers fans might remember that. It was absolutely ridiculous, calling back a 64-yard touchdown. Screw the Cowboys. Screw Mike McCarthy. Let's go 49ers. They get it done on Sunday and beat the Cowboys by a touchdown.
Now, is there a translation to the pros? Like you say, like, you know, the short bus, like short yellow bus that comes. If this was the pros, is that like he drives on like a just like a 2-row plane, you know?
That's correct. That's correct. They put him on the propeller plane and the ice builds up in the front. That's what Mike McCarthy's on. Like he's got to bring backup pillowcases to the hotel because he drools all over him when he sleeps. Mike McCarthy, what a bonehead. Let's go 49ers. Get it done this week.
All right, one quick game here. Then we're going to bring in Kelsey. Yes, you've seen it in the chat box, and the phrase has been coined, the First Lady of Football. She'll be in here in just a moment. But real quick, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. We're doing this game Monday Night Football. I can't even believe we're actually doing this. Is hazard pay. You know, let the frontline workers get the extra money. I think, Kyle, I'm putting in for extra money for this one to go up against Cincinnati. Pittsburgh should win this game easily. Do I want to lay 13? No. Do I think Pittsburgh will be bored and disinterested? Absolutely. But I do think they win the football game here.
This is where we earn our Christmas bonuses. I'm just waiting to get that notification from the SBR powers that be that we get that Christmas bonus for covering Pittsburgh Cincinnati on Monday night. I'm going to get hammered for this game. Let's just call it what it is. I am going to empty the Jameson.
That doesn't change every week.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'm going to get more hammered than usual. You know, I'm going to be desperately checking my emails on Tuesday morning. Yeah, Pittsburgh should cover. We don't even know if Brandon Allen's going to play. Good Lord. No. I mean, I guess I could make this a money line parlay piece. I haven't dove too much into this game that much. Pittsburgh should win it 13. I'm not taking them by 13. I mean, we saw them against Pittsburgh and Dallas and Garrett Gilbert, and they barely won by 5. So now I'm going to trust them against an incompetent Cincinnati team. No thanks. Ben Roethlisberger, one of my least favorite players in the entire league. Talk about a punchable face and just a god-awful human being from Jump Street is Ben Roethlisberger. Stay away game for me. Maybe make Pittsburgh a parlay piece. Total. I mean, and if you're maybe Pittsburgh can get to 35 against Cincinnati because you don't expect that Cincinnati offense to do much against the Pittsburgh defense. Trash can of a game. I guess I'd lean the under of the totals and stay away from everything else. Moneyline parlay piece.
Yeah, it is a pretty bad football game. By the way, Kelsey's going to join us here momentarily, but she looks like she's already in the chat box under the name Holly Bull Speed, who says Kelsey is so beautiful. So we found your burner account. Can't play with us like that. But let's not wait any longer. Let's bring in the First Lady of Football, Kelsey Kramer, for our Pick Six plays and action for the week. They've been waiting for you in the chat box, and now you have arrived.
That was a good one, Donnie. And to be clear, Kyle is very familiar with the short bus, so he and
she knows me all too well.
Oh, dang.
Shots fired early. I like it. Very good. She's right.
And by the way, we said if we didn't get a lot of, we didn't only got 61 likes. Did you do your hair for the show? I can't see. Oh, there we go. I got you. Yeah, there you go. All right. So she
shaved it.
Yep. I usually go for a walk before I come on here with my dog, so I don't always look like, a 6 out of 10, maybe more of like a 3 out of 10.
Oh boy. Wow.
That's right up Pal's alley.
Yeah. Basically, near the bombshell status, basically. I mean, we can't get too crazy. Can't get too crazy around here. All right.
Now, talking about crazy this week, Kelsey, as we dip into it tonight, I love football. Like, it's one of my passions. I love to break it down. But now a little bit under the weather. I mean, am I under the weather, Kyle, because this card that I'm looking at tonight? Because we look at the Chargers and the Raiders tonight, and I'm trying to find a pathway to victory. You got no fans. You got the Raiders. What are we going to do tonight? Are we taking them, Kelsey, on the favored line? Or are we going with the young buck there, Justin Herbert, tonight?
I like the Raiders here. I mean, obviously, Chargers beat my Falcons last week, but Matt Ryan gave that to them. So Raiders look good. They didn't look good last week, but I like them here. Anthony Lynn is gonna probably be jobless soon, and Gruden made that fire on the defensive side. So I feel like we're gonna see something different from them tonight, Thursday Night Football. Derek Carr, let's roll.
Derek, by the way, Kyle, good point she brings up here tonight. Do we see any like the Raiders are down 4 guys on their defense? Not again, I joke that not that it matters anyway, but you get a different philosophy now going to another veteran defensive coordinator. Rod Marinelli used to be with the Dallas Cowboys. Does that change a little bit for you? Where it said, look, anything different might be able to help this defense, right?
Well, yeah, and what's going to really help is no Keenan Allen or limited Keenan Allen and no Mike Williams, and Anthony Lynn, when he loses his job, maybe I'll be riding my short bus and hanging out with Anthony Lynn as we stand in at the unemployment line after I get all the check marks here on SBR. But I can't disagree with it. It's impossible, even though I don't trust either team, it's impossible to take the Chargers in this game minus their top 2 weapons on the outside and with that soon-to-be unemployed head coach. So see you soon, Anthony Lynn.
By the way, are we going to see a podcast on iHeartRadio with Kyle and Anthony Lynn being produced by one certain person with us here on the show? That'd be possible.
I love that. That's a great idea. Yes. It's a moneymaker.
I'm always looking out for you guys. I swear. Let's get to the go. Like I'm lining people. I'm like a headhunter. I'm going to get at least $2,000 if that deal ends up signing here. Panthers +9 and the Packers. Saturday football here in Lambeau. A couple hundred people will be in the crowd. It will be chilly conditions for the Southern boys coming up to play in Green Bay. Are they going to be able to hang around in this one? Because if you're looking at Aaron Rodgers pressing his way towards the playoffs, the one thing we do know is you can come back on that Green Bay defense. Do they have the ability, or is Aaron Rodgers run away with this one, Kelsey?
I think everybody's taking the Packers on this one, but I feel a backdoor cover coming from Matt Rule's team. And last week, Carolina made Drew Lock look incredible. So I think they're going to fix those bumps up for this Sunday. And I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he can keep up. Packers didn't cover last week. I almost took them, but thanks to y'all too, I went with the Lions. I have them at Panthers at +9. I don't know what y'all did. I
don't think we could disagree. No, we can't disagree with that. It seems that because we took the flip side, like the Packers will open up early and have a lead at the half. But in the NFL, and again, the Panthers got a decent offense. As long as they don't get, COVID bitten with their wide receivers and they come in somewhat healthy, there's no reason to believe they can't go in there and put up at least 20+ points, which will put them in the game here, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I agree with Carolina full game, and it's a great point bringing up last week. I mean, look how limited Detroit was last week, and Stafford even got hurt in that game, and they still can't cover. Then you go back, 3-4 weeks, Jacksonville with Jake Luton. So I don't trust Green Bay to cover in any of these ones. So I like Carolina +9 as well. I think that's a smart play. And by me agreeing with you, I probably jinxed it. So you're going to get it wrong. And there you go. That's what you get. Make all the jokes you want. I'm going to jinx the hell out of all your picks. It's on.
0-6.
There you
0-6
go.
coming
0-6
into
because I
play here
jinxed
for us.
them all.
So Kelsey goes Thursday Night Football and 2 Saturday games. She's going to go with that earlier game between the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. Drew Luck and the boys going east and picking up a victory, but now it's going to be much tougher as they go up against the Buffalo Bills, shining their swords, heading towards the playoffs, getting ready to get after it. Is this going to be an easy win for the Bills, or you think we get another nice Drew Lock performance here, that young buck for Denver?
No, Carolina, like I said, Carolina made Drew Lock look good last week. He's not that good. Has about 30 interceptions this season. I think the Buffalo Bills can take advantage of that one. Their defense has looked great the past 3 games, and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are coming in hot. Let's go.
Ooh, there you go. The young, but they got that's 2 young quarterbacks getting after this game. The one thing that me and Kyle we look at kickers because it's just what
Obviously.
we do. No kicker in Brandon McManus in this game. So now you're looking at maybe some extra points, maybe some field goals that were once easier made. You line up there late in the football game because how many times do you see it? 30-20 late in the game. Hey, let's run out there and get that field goal and get it within a touchdown. Now that's not going to be the case when if you did have a kicker just like a Justin Tucker or a Brandon McManus, Kyle, that matters in a football game. So.
Yeah, I mean, we all like good kickers on this show. I think we've established that over several weeks here. So it's very important to be good to those kickers and like it. But no, again, I'm going to agree and jinx your pick again because I just don't see any way Denver keeps us close. I like the Buffalo Bills this week. Drew Lock, and you've got 2 injured running backs, both questionable heading in. And that's going to be the strength of their team if they have any shot against Buffalo. So I like the Bills this week to win by more than a touchdown. I think that's a great pick. Again, let me make sure I double jinx that down. And another injured kicker here, so perfect.
I'm pick the opposite.
Tom Tindera keeps it simple. They're deep lows. So I don't know what defense we're talking about, but hey, we'll ride with that. I like the comments out here. And also, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
Speaking of the Buffalo Bills, in the AFC East, Kelsey, look at this one, the Patriots and the Dolphins. Dolphins a slight favorite. Who's playing for the Dolphins? Me and Kyle talked about it. I don't think I even care who actually is playing for the Dolphins because I know Cam Newton's going to play for the New England Patriots, as Bill Belichick says, as Josh McDaniel says. Boy, we couldn't ask any more of Cam Newton. I don't know what the hell kind of comments they're coming up with just to be nice to Cam Newton. Maybe they don't want a lawsuit when they end up cutting him at the end of the year. I don't know, but if Cam Newton is my starting quarterback, just give me anybody but Ben DiNucci on the opposite side, and I'm in. Who are you going with in this game?
Gotta go with the Dolphins. I let up every time you hear their name. I love this Dolphins team. And Pat Mahomes is even on their side, and you gotta trust the MVP guy, Super Bowl guy. Miami looked great last week, even with that loss. And after the game, Pat was like, this team is going to be hard to play in the playoffs. And after 3 interceptions against Mahomes, Miami's defense is rolling through. Cam Newton, I can't stand the guy. I honestly cannot stand the guy.
Either.
I can't.
I'm saying
what about his outfits, though? What about his outfits?
God,
Can we get a comment by his outfits from you here?
Oh, brutal.
Metro, very Metro.
Metro. You can't even, put Metro in that sentence. I feel like Metro is kind of a compliment.
Oh, boy. Well, I thought that was the one thing Cam Newton had going for him, so I ordered all these clothes. I better send them back because I do look ridiculous in them. Let me make no mistake about it.
Instead of me buying Ben DiNucci jerseys, maybe I should buy hats and put them a frame back there for him, so we can get a whole new counterpart on. By the way, we got a game in Arizona this weekend between my Philadelphia Eagles catching almost a touchdown against Arizona. Now I do see the play that's put up here, and now I'm figuring, Kyle, this probably factors in field goal kickers for Arizona going 1 of 3 and blowing the game late. And the Eagles heading to Arizona, which I don't even believe in my Eagles. Are you, Kelsey, believing in my Philadelphia Eagles?
I am. Jalen Hurts, I want to see him.
It's come a long way.
Last week, I did not take the Eagles, and I'm really mad about it. But I also didn't take Cardinals. Mad about that too. But I like the Eagles here. Sooner versus Sooners. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he looked pretty decent, and I think it's going to be back and forth battle. I also like the over. Cardinals are averaging 30 points at home, and their defense sucks at mobile quarterbacks, which Hurts is that dual threat there. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great one, Donnie.
By the way, that was pretty impressive by you going Sooner versus Sooner, because that actually caught me off guard for a second. That's very astute by you.
Wow, I know. Week 15, I should know something by now, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what happens. You could tell she's mad at Zane Gonzalez, right? She won't even pick that team anymore. Things are really, really on the rocks with Zane out there.
How do you go from like sucking for 5 games straight, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
No, can't do that.
Now he's hurt again, so I don't know what the hell.
That's basically Kyle's life in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, that's me. I suck all the time, then I'm good for 1 week, and then I suck again. But, I use that to keep going and to get through life. But I took the other side. I actually agree with one thing she said. I like the over in this game as well. I guess it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles covered, but I just worry about that secondary. Arizona should get it done.
That's what I'm worried about most there. And again, not really and no fans really going to be, partaking on that side. But I think the Arizona Cardinals had a nice victory over the Giants last week and carry it over. But I do think the Eagles play hard in this game. I don't see this as one of those 26-7 type games where the Giants didn't show up last week. So I think they'll be in it. And if the Eagles' MO is anything, late in the game, if they're down double digits, they can certainly be able to come close to that 6.5 number here. 49ers and Cowboys going up against Kyle's boys here. You got Andy Dalton at quarterback. Ooh, wow, what a victory last week, Kyle, over those tough Cincinnati Bengals. Can they replicate it? Because I don't know what I'm getting. Kelsey, right before you came on, we talked about this game, and I said, if Nick Mullins, I could just pencil into my brain an average game, they will beat the Cowboys. But I'm so tired of the fumbles, the interceptions, costing themselves football games, because he's done it already this year. Who are you going with in this one? You trusting the Nick Mullins brigade or the Andy Dalton brigade? Oof, boy. Oof.
I am not jumping on Kyle's short bus. So I like the Cowboys here.
Damn.
I've said really embarrassing things in my life and made really embarrassing picks, but the 49ers offense tops it everything I've ever done in my entire life.
Whoa, Kyle, just shots at your boys right there.
Oh, my God. It hurts. It hurts bad. But the bottom line is I know my 49ers are going to run down that Dallas throat this weekend, and Andy Dalton will make mistakes. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, and by the way, Kyle, one of the better pictures of the week last week is, you get taken out, your family comes to town, you get taken out to eat, and the family says, hey, you know what? We're going to eat water this weekend. So,
yeah, what the hell's going on there?
Okay. I needed it.
No one likes a quitter, Kelsey. No one likes a quitter.
I had a Japanese wine. It was just one.
By the way, was that who was in town, by the way? Was that the brother and his wife, or was your sister and her wife or her brother?
All kind of look alike, so it's weird. That was my brother.
Yeah, there you go.
His wife. They live in Pennsylvania by you, Donnie. Maybe y'all can hang out. But they're both personal trainers. They have other jobs. And I just missed that gene. My dad and I just blew it. I got my dad's genes, I guess. But my sister and brother are, they wake up at 4 a.m. before work and go to work or work out. And then they, have their 9-hour day. And I'm just like, how? Can barely make breakfast.
I moonlight as a personal trainer, obviously. My whiskey and Jameson, my Jameson and coffee, and a hard workout in the morning is what I do every single day, obviously.
I actually paid dinner this past month, and I only worked out once. And then I was like, can I get my money back?
Oh, yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
You're like, look, there's no bar here. There's no alcohol here. I just got to get out of this place. By the way, before we get out of here, Kelsey, Chanticleer, are we getting the pick on the Chanticleers this weekend? I mean, can we get one of those bonus plays here?
Oh, gosh, that was stressful last week. I am all for the Shants, though. Jamie Chadwell, I trust him. I trust their offense coordinator. I trust their defense more than anything.
Wow.
They're going to blitz the heck out of, can't swear on this show, the heck out of those Raging Cajuns this week. So, go Shants.
Now, will over-under, will we get a picture of you striking a fighting pose with a Chanticleer?
Maybe a fighting pose with the Irish, Donnie.
Yeah, there you go.
When I think Chanticleer, I always think that movie Rockadoodle when I was a kid. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but it was a great animated movie. And Chanticleer was Rockadoodling and saved the day with his beautiful voice and his heroic stature. That's all I know about the Chanticleers. There you go.
Look, how about here we go. Luis Lopez never comes in here and says, wow, she is cute, tuning in every time. Now, Kyle, we might actually be able to stay on the air if we bring her on more.
That's
often.
what we have to do. I'm trying to stay out of that damn unemployment line. You know what I mean? It's really important that I don't have to go down there and show my face. So, guess we'll have to keep her around.
By the way, we did it. Kyle, we did it this week, though. Look, can you look at the time?
Holy moly.
They told me you are going to get paid by words and by time frame today. So we broke through here close to 1 hour and 30 minutes, hitting it all and covering Week 15 NFL action right here at sportsbookreview.com. We got some pick six winners in. We got a football game tonight, which leads me into, real quick, guys, let's get some prop bets together. I don't like this game all that much, but I am going to gamble on this game. I'm taking the under 51, as we talked about earlier between myself and Kyle, but I'm also going to go Jalen Guyton's receiving yards over 32.5. Somebody against that terrible defense has to catch the ball. Optimum scenario, if we see, early in the game, Keenan Allen not right, sits out on the sideline, again, just by going with volume. And if I think Justin Herbert's going to throw for 250, why can't Guyton have 3 catches for 35 yards? That's where I'm going. Kelsey, tonight, give us some plays here that we're looking at.
Obviously, I'm on the Raiders. Derek Carr over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He's averaged, there's only 4 games where he hasn't thrown at least 2. And then Herbert over 38.5 pass attempts. He's averaging, 40 a game. So I see that tonight. They're going to throw the heck out of his arm.
By the way, we destroyed it on Monday night with our props, so hopefully get another swing over tonight. Kyle, give us some props we can look at tonight between those Raiders and Chargers.
With the limited Keenan Allen, probably no Mike Williams, definitely no Mike Williams. I took Tyron Johnson, the guy who seemed to step in for Mike Williams this past Sunday against the Falcons, over 47.5 yards receiving and over 3.5 catches at plus 125. And I also took Derek Carr over 264.5 yards passing and over 23.5 completions. I think they get it done through the air against that bad Chargers secondary this week. And just so I can jinx Kelsey's pick here, I'm going to take the Raiders -3 real quick as well.
There you go. Called her by the wrong name as well. So we hit the home run trifecta here by Kyle today. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Get a shot at him here. Look, spell his last name. I don't even think that's his real last name anyway, so you can butcher that all you want, Kelsey.
Yeah. That's an awful last name, Kyle.
Who picks that? Who picks that? And your name's not Frank.
My grandfather was adopted. It's not even shouldn't even be my real last name. My grandfather was adopted by some dirty Frenchie somewhere.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's more for another time. But hey, hour and a half show down in the hatch, Week 15 NFL with sportsbookreview.com. Both myself and Kyle will be back on Sunday for the closing line, 12 o'clock. Join us live as we set you up for that 1 o'clock card and all the way through the afternoon action. I'm Donnie Seymour. She's Kelsey Kramer. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com. And this was your NFL show for Week 15 Thursday. Good luck tonight.